You're probably making a huge mistake if you're relying on composting advice that tells you to just throw organic matter on your beds and wait. I've seen it ruin more gardens than I can count. Plants look okay for a while, but underneath your soil is suffocating, microbial life is weak, and water retention is all over the place. If you're serious about producing food that actually thrives, you need to know the real trade-offs between materials like cardboard and biochar, and not just what's convenient or cheap. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss tests like this, because what I'm about to show you will change how you treat soil forever. I tested cardboard and biochar side by side, and the results were shocking. I've been layering cardboard in raised beds for years because it's cheap, easy to source, and does a decent job at suppressing weeds. But I always wondered if there was a better way. So I set up a controlled comparison. One raised bed layered with cardboard, another with biochar, and a control bed with neither. The differences became obvious within just a few weeks. Cardboard does a good job at creating structure and slowly feeding soil microbes, but it also ties up nitrogen at the start if you don't balance it right. Biochar, on the other hand, immediately improves aeration and water retention, and it doesn't rob your soil of nutrients. But it's inert until you charge it with compost tea or manure. The trade-offs are critical if you care about fast-growing, high-yield crops. You're probably using cardboard wrong without realizing it. Most gardeners tear cardboard into chunks and just layer it on top of soil. That's a slow path to results. The cardboard has to be fully wetted and layered with alternating greens and browns if you want it to break down efficiently. I like a 2-inch layer of cardboard soaked well, topped with 1 to 2 inches of nitrogen-rich kitchen scraps or grass clippings, and then a finishing 1-inch mulch of shredded leaves or straw. In small backyard gardens, this layering accelerates decomposition and prevents the dreaded nitrogen lock. In hydroponic media, I've experimented with shredded cardboard mixed with cocoa coir at a ratio of about 1 part cardboard to 3 parts coir. It adds structure without suffocating roots. So, biochar isn't magic, but honestly, it's a game changer if you use it properly. I see people just tossing biochar on the soil, thinking it's some kind of miracle fertilizer. It isn't. What biochar really does is act as a scaffold for microbial life. It holds onto water, keeps nutrients in place, and helps buffer pH. But here's the thing. It needs to be charged first. Personally, I always soak biochar in a mix of compost tea or liquid manure for at least a week before I use it. For raised beds, I aim for between 5 and 10% by volume. So, if your bed holds 100 litres of soil mix, you're adding 5 to 10 litres of biochar. The results really do speak for themselves. Beds with charged biochar hold onto moisture during heat waves. Crops show much stronger growth, and you'll notice the soil microbes are more active. In hydroponics, biochar works great when you combine it with perlite or vermiculite at a ratio of 1 to 4, biochar to media. That way, roots get the oxygen they need without losing out on water retention. Now, let's talk about how to monitor your soil properly when you're testing new amendments. You really can't just guess if your soil is improving. You need real data. I rely on the 5-in-1 Earth Scout Soil Cub for precise readings. It measures soil moisture, temperature, and electroconductivity, so you can see exactly how water and nutrients are behaving. For instance, in my cardboard bed, the sensor showed moisture levels dropping faster than I expected, which indicated that nitrogen was being temporarily locked up. But in the biochar bed, the readings were stable, and EC levels showed the soil was holding nutrients more effectively. I've included a link to the Earth Scout meter in the description if you're interested. Honestly, it's a serious tool for serious gardeners. You really need to think about time and scale, not just the material you're using. Cardboard will eventually break down and feed your soil, but it's a slow process. Biochar, on the other hand, gives you more immediate structural improvements, but but you do need to put in the upfront effort to charge it. In my own backyard gardens, I combine both a thin cardboard base with a biochar-enriched top layer. This gives you weed suppression and a slow microbial feed from the cardboard, plus the aeration, nutrient retention, and water stability from the biochar. If you're working on larger plots, I've scaled this method by alternating 6-inch layers of cardboard with 2-inch biochar-infused compost, and honestly, crops respond significantly faster than beds using just cardboard. Nitrogen management is absolutely everything. If you don't understand how carbon-rich materials tie up nitrogen, your plants are going to suffer. Cardboard has a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio around 350 to 1, very high. That means microbes breaking down cardboard will pull nitrogen from the soil, which slows growth unless you supplement. For every square foot of cardboard layer, I add about half a cup of blood meal or 1 cup of grass clippings to balance it out. Biochar has a lower carbon-to-nitrogen ratio if it's pre-charged, so it won't cause the same nitrogen draw. But uncharged biochar can temporarily absorb nutrients until it's colonized by microbes. This is exactly why the charging step is so critical. Small tweaks can make a big difference in hydroponics. A lot of hydroponic growers tend to dismiss organic amendments entirely, but honestly, cardboard and biochar can really improve media performance. I shred cardboard finely and mix it with cocoa coir or perlite at the ratios I mentioned earlier. For biochar, it's always soaked first, then mixed in at no more than 10% of the total media volume. The end result is better root aeration, more consistent moisture levels, and just stronger plants overall. You'll notice the biggest impact with leafy greens and tomatoes. Roots stay healthier, and the risk of rot drops. Now, let's talk about cost and sourcing. Cardboard is free, but biochar can get expensive. Still, the investment in biochar pays off if you want soil that responds predictably. I've tried inexpensive retail biochar versus high-quality research-grade biochar, and there's a clear difference in water retention and crop vigor. If you're on a tight budget, use cardboard for volume and supplement with small amounts of high-quality charged biochar in the most critical areas. It's the compromise that gives you results without breaking the bank. Just a few final tips before you start experimenting. Always wet cardboard before layering. Always charge your biochar, and always monitor your soil with a reliable sensor like the Earth Scout Soil Cub. Start small if you're trying new ratios and measure your results over at least 4 to 6 weeks. Don't just rely on visual inspection. The real story is in the data. Even experienced gardeners get this wrong, because surface growth can look fine while the soil underneath is struggling. I've tested these methods in backyard gardens, raised beds, and hydroponic setups, and honestly, the combination of cardboard and charged biochar is the fastest path to rich, stable soil that actually feeds your plants. Stop wasting time with incomplete advice or relying on just one amendment. Balance, preparation, and monitoring are absolutely everything. If you want to grow stronger, more productive crops without all the guesswork, consider picking up a 5-in-1 Earth Scout Soil Cub. The link's in the description. It's not flashy, but it gives you the data you need to make real, informed decisions about your soil. And finally, if you've found these insights useful, subscribe to Farm Logic. I post detailed, tested strategies for serious gardeners like you, the kind of advice that actually moves the needle in your garden. Share this video with your gardening friends, especially the ones who keep making the cardboard-only mistakes, because the results really do speak for themselves when you get this right.